the whole idea started from, I guess, I've got a BBC Model B, and I watch a lot of Adrian's digital basement videos, and Adrian was talking about how the BBC Master and the Model B has a fairly unique feature at the time, I guess, that it can support bank memory, which basically got around the physical limitation of, say, 128K. They were able, with the Master, to go up to like 512K. And the memory limitation, the chip RAM limitation on the Amiga has always been an issue that's been talked about in the community forever. The infamous 8 meg chip RAM selector on the 4000 and never been used. So we have a group chat, and I just said to Gary, "What do you think this can be done?" And then people went, "Nah." Well, we kind of thought, well, as Gary said, if no one else has done it, then it must not be possible. But Gary's want to rise to a challenge, and he's got a lot more technical experience than I do. So he said, "Well, let's give it a try." And
I said Mark came up with this crazy idea. It's like, nah, it must have been done before. Like, it's such a simple idea. Surely someone's done back switching in the Amiga before, and well, no one hasn't, and of course it's possible. So basically I did a whole lot of homework and thought about it and come up with the idea that, well, all I have to do is just write to a register and we can select which bank a bank. So effectively I've made this new card for the SMD 2000, and the reason one of the main reasons it's actually even possible is because the Agnus card Agnus is on a separate card in the SMD 2000, which it was kind of by design. I didn't have this in mind when I did the SMD 2000, but I always thought, well, if someone makes an 8 meg Agnus, at least I'll be able to just drop it in. I won't have to build a whole new motherboard. Well, I didn't really think it was going to be me. But yeah, Mark came up with such a simple idea. We'll just do bank switching, and so I'll set up a register in the Amiga custom chip registers and at an address that wasn't being used, and all you do is you just write a byte to it, and it selects which bank we're going to be using. So I'll show you how it works in a moment.
Yeah, that's it.
So this is the SMD 2000. We can see we've got the CPU board, which we're not interested in today, at the front, and then at the back here we've got the Agnus board. And there's a CPLD in there, which I'm calling Buddy because it's Agnus's buddy. And we've got a 2 meg Agnus down here, and some LEDs that are just showing what's going on. So we've got one of them is just showing that it's out of reset. The other one's showing that this card's doing nothing special at the moment. All of the banks are disconnected. And then if we have a quick look on the back, we can see we've got 2 megs of chip RAM that's connected all the time, and we've got bank 0 and bank 1. And we've booted this machine, and which, poking around on it, I just managed to crash. Whoops. That's all right, you can cut that bit out.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so we're booting the Amiga. So we should have nothing on the bus at the moment. Run a veil. And we can see we've got just 1 mega chip RAM on there. So I'll run a mega monitor. Let's grab my notes here. So the first thing we're going to do is we've got, for those who don't know, the Amiga has a from 0 to FFFFF is the first megabyte of chip RAM, and then the second megabyte of chip RAM lives at 100,000 to 1 FFFFF. So that's your second meg. So if we have a look at MI, which is memory information, and we'll just choose one in that first meg, an address in that first meg, we'll just go, that'll do. It's allocated chip RAM. Okay, now if we go and look at the second meg, it's not in the memory list. So what we'll do I'm going to demonstrate that that's actually physically not connected right now. So all I'm going to do is just dump some memory. Now, the SMD 2000, like the Amiga 2000, doesn't have pull-up resistors on the data bus, so we're going to get gibberish. They're random numbers, so every time you run that, you see we've got a different result. It's just because it's they're floating lines, so it could be a 1 or it could be 0. But it just means that there's nothing actually driving the bus, and we're trying to read off a memory address where there's nothing. And if we try and write to it, F100000 to F1000FFF, and we'll just say right some Fs to it. Again, it's gibberish again. There's nothing there. There's nothing connected. So what we can do, I've introduced a new register that we can send a command to. We've got 3 instructions for it. We've got instruction 0, which disconnects everything. We've got instruction 2, which connects a RAM bank, or we've got instruction 6, which instruction 6 will connect it and reset proof it, so we can use it with the oscillator. So what we'll do, let's turn on a bank, and we'll just connect 0, and we do that just by poking the register. POKEW, instruction number 2, and we'll connect bank 0, and then, oh shit, don't mind me, I've got to put the address in too. DFF1F0. Okay, now, if we have a quick look at the card, the light's changed to red. There's a red light on now, which we didn't have on before. And that just means that it's executing, or it's got instruction 2 in it. So that means that we've got a bank connected. And we can actually look at that we can check that. I've got another register, a read register. It's actually 2 registers that we can get some data back from that say the status and the configuration of the card. So it's DFF1F0, and we want to get 4 bytes back. So they were going to be a single 16-bit wide register, but that didn't work because I ran out of space in the CPLD, so I had to make it 2 8-bit ones. Whoopsie. Okay, so we can say ignore the first and third ones, but we can see we've got 81, that's our configuration, and 20, that's the same as that 20 there. So it's just that byte there, it's poking back out and that on that register. But now that also tells me we should have some RAM connected. So let's fill it and do something with it. So F1000010FFF, and we'll put a byte in there. So I've just written a byte to those addresses there. And what we'll do, if we read that back, we should get a screen of 69s, which we do. Nice. Right, so now we've put that. Now let's connect the other bank. This is just to prove that this RAM actually exists and that it's actually working. So if we go do that poke W, and instead of connecting bank 0, we'll connect bank 1, and we'll fill that with a different byte. And now we read that back. We can see now we've got a whole bunch of ACs on there. And if we want to just absolutely prove that data's still there, we'll go back to bank 0, read that back. There we go. We're back with some light. So what we'll do, we'll connect bank number 0. So poke W DFF1F0 2000. Okay, cool. So now we've connected bank 0. That RAM should still be there. It should still have all of the information I chucked in it before. So M100,000. We've got a page of 69s. Cool. And if we go to poke W DFF1F0 2100. We'll look at the other bank. It should be full of ACs. Cool. So we have we've been able to choose by looking at the same address, M1000, 100,000. We can look at two different banks of data. So it's just simple bank switching, but I've got that working on in the Amiga chip RAM now. So this card is capable of doing. This prototype only has 2 megabytes of switchable bank RAM, but we can. We have enough space in the register as it stands now to be able to have up to 64 megs of switchable RAM, which would mean a total of 65 megabytes of chip RAM available, provided you can keep track of what bank it's in. There's a lot of scope for this. I'm not a programmer. Last week I didn't even know how to write in Verilog, and I've made that. So I'm a total beginner to this. But there's people out there who I know who find this interesting for making demos, for making games, and also I think this would be a good opportunity to get something like a driver for Picasso 96, and we might even be able to use it in the OS. Just finally, I'm just going to demonstrate that it can actually, with this installed, we can still use it as a 2 megabyte chip RAM Amiga. So instead of byte instruction 2, we just use instruction 6. So poke W, DFF1F0, and instruction 6 instead of 2, and we'll use bank 0. So nothing's changed. We've still got, if we go M, that should give us a page of 69s again, which it does. But now if I reboot the Amiga, if we have a look over here on the card while it's rebooting, we've got, it's actually a different red light, but we've got a different red light on the card now. That means that it's stayed connected during the reset. Now if we type avail now, you can see that we've just got that back as 2 megs of RAM. So we can, if we reset proof it and then reset the Amiga, the OS can have its RAM back, and we can just use it as a conventional 2 megabyte chip RAM as well. So there's not much to it. There's nothing smart in this. It's bank switching's been around forever, but as far as I'm aware, it's never been applied to the Amiga chip RAM before. So we now have a tool that we can use. I'll be releasing this online tomorrow, free for the world to play with. At this stage, unfortunately, you're still going to need a SMD 2000 motherboard to play with it. One of the things I'm going to be doing in the future is trying to come out with an Amiga 500 version, and we'll have most of the cards sitting in the trapdoor, and a breakout for the register address lines or something, maybe sitting over Agnus or over Paula, depending what's easiest to make. Probably over Paula, but that's going to come. I'm not going to give you a time frame. It'll happen when it happens, and if someone else wants to jump in and make that, that would be very much appreciated. Also, if anyone's interested in doing some coding for it, obviously stick your hand up. I'd dearly love it if we could have some eventually 64 megabyte chip RAM Amigas out there. It would be fantastic.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you to RetroSwim, and obviously thank you Bird Handler for coming up with this crazy idea.
Wonderful.
So I only made one error with the prototype, so I was very impressed with that. I didn't put pull-up resistors on the basically the switch. That's just a 74F244, which is a buffer chip, and I'm using it in such a way that it's connecting the RAM control lines for each of the banks. I forgot to put pull-up resistors on it, so that's the only bodge I had to make. Everything else has worked without having to do anything else to the PCB, and the PCB I'm releasing tomorrow is going to have the resistors on the board. Okay, so poke W D F F 1 0, and we're gonna execute instruction 2, which is connect a bank, and we're gonna connect bank 0. Okay. So bank 0 is connected, and we've got the top lights off, and the other ones are all the next 8 are all on, and that means that because it's low active, and then the other half you can just see it's instruction 2 and nothing else is on. Okay, now this is bank 1 is connected, exactly the same, except you just saw some lights moved. This is instruction 6, bank 0. Instruction 6, bank 1. So those are now reset proofed. Yep. And this is disconnecting.
Boop.
Cool.